Jahmyr Gibbs had his coming of age party against the Las Vegas Raiders, rushing and carrying the load for the Detroit Lions in a super impressive performance, kind of the breakout game we have been waiting on. While he still hasn't broken that breakaway one going to the house, the 80-yard, 75-yard run, he still was impressive nonetheless. And I saw something today from Pride of Detroit, and it got me thinking, which running back should get the start? When we brought in David Montgomery in the offseason, it was literally we hadn't signed Jamal Williams. We were still wondering what we were going to do with him, but we still had DeAndre Swift. So we bring in David Montgomery, 3 years, $18 million. So we're like, okay, well, there's no need for Jamal anymore. And then a month later during the NFL draft, we drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, and then day 3 traded DeAndre Swift, if I'm not mistaken. So now we went from Jamal Williams, DeAndre Swift, a kind of thunder-lightning combination, to another thunder-lightning combination in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And both have missed some time this year with injuries. David Montgomery has been out the last 2 games coming off that rib cartilage damage, and Jahmyr Gibbs has missed a few games as well, 2 games, because of the hamstring injury that he sustained earlier in the year. So we have yet to see both guys kind of go off at the same time. David will carry a load, and then Jahmyr will have to carry the load as well in a different game. So now we have a question. Who should be the lead back going forward? Now, the Detroit Lions drafted Jahmyr Gibbs to be more than a running back, to be a weapon. David Montgomery is the running back, 6 touchdowns on the season, and he does his thing. But after the performance from Jahmyr Gibbs on Monday Night Football, now the fan base is kind of feeling like Jahmyr Gibbs might need to take over as the number 1 back. This is coming from Pride of Detroit, and they had a poll. They don't say how many people participated in this poll, but it says, who should be the Detroit Lions starting running back moving forward? And check this out. I got to release it all at once, because once you see the numbers, you'll know. 80% says Jahmyr Gibbs and 20% says David Montgomery. So basically 4 out of every 5 people, and however many people were polled, chose Jahmyr Gibbs to start, to be the starting running back. And I can't say I disagree with that, but I think that these 2 running backs are going to work well together. But now we have been wondering, like, what's the holdup for Jahmyr? And I will say this, and I want to know your opinion at the end of the video. So I'll save it, though. Hopefully I don't forget it. Let's look at the game log here for both of these running backs. This here is Jahmyr Gibbs. First, let's take a look at David Montgomery. David Montgomery will take what he has. He has 94 carries for 385 yards, 6 touchdowns. He averages 4.1 per carry. I believe he has more carries than Jahmyr. And also, I think he has, how many games have he played? Out of the 7 potential games he has played, because we've played 8 games, and he has played 5 of them. He played the first 2, then he missed the Falcons game. He played the next 3, and then he's missed the last 2 games, right? So he's missed 3 games in total, had 6 carries. Tampa Bay's defense was all over him. But the game before that against Carolina, 109, then he had carried the workload here, 32 carries, 121 yards, and 3 touchdowns for 6 on the season. So, okay, keep that in mind. He's played in 5 of 8 games, and he averages 4.1 off 3.48 carries. All right, so now let's get to Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs has 18 less carries. He's played in 6 games. He's played in 1 more game. He has approximately 15 more yards than David Montgomery. He averages more per carry than David Montgomery, and he has 2 touchdowns to David Montgomery's 3. What's David's long? His long is 42. I want to say it's, the Carolina game when he broke one in the first quarter to get that long run that Jameson Williams was out there blocking. So if we do the math, we're talking about one less game for David Montgomery, 18 more carries, which is kind of skewed by the Green Bay game. So Jahmyr Gibbs averages more per carry by over a yard for David Montgomery. That's a little tough. Jahmyr 6 games, David 5. One thing I can say is they'll pick up the pace. They will definitely carry the load if one can't go. Now, here's what I was going to say earlier. You might say, okay, well, they both could play. They both could be. We don't need a lead running back, a number one running back. We have a tandem in David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. But then you have to consider, is it because of David Montgomery and us giving him the number one running back carries that we haven't been able to see Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield? Because I'm starting to think about it. Let's go back and let's look at Jahmyr Gibbs the 2 times that right now we're talking about 3 times at this point. The 3 times that he had to carry the load. He first did it against the Atlanta Falcons, 17 carries, 80 yards, averaging 4.7. Then you take the game against the Baltimore Ravens because David played, but then he was out. Baltimore Ravens, 11 carries, 68 yards, 6.2 a carry. And then 26 carries, which matches our points, ironically, 152 yards. And he had 5.8 yards per carry. So when David Montgomery has not been in, he's had 4.7, he's had 6.2, and he's had 5.8. And if we go back to David Montgomery, the games Jahmyr hasn't played, which was the Carolina Panther game, right? Because Jahmyr did not play against Carolina, and he didn't play against Carolina and Tampa Bay. Okay, so he didn't play against Carolina and Tampa Bay. So this one is skewed because Montgomery went out, but against Carolina, David Montgomery, 5.7 yards per carry. So that's kind of tough. That's kind of tough. So if you put in the comment section, who do you want to see get the starting running back, which means the bulk of the carries? Who gets the bulk of the carries going forward, in your opinion, for the Detroit Lions? Is it going to be Jahmyr Gibbs, who's played 6 games? Is it going to be David Montgomery that's played 5? Okay, so my opinion, this is tough. I still think like you got to find out how to give them both. We got to get, I think, both. I know it's kind of a weak answer, but I really think that they bring 2 different dynamics. It's kind of like what we wanted Swift to do is what Jahmyr Gibbs can do. And then David Montgomery can be a better Jamal Williams. So who do I want to see get the bulk of the carries? I have to say, I'm going to take a cheat right here. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I think that you got to give it to Jahmyr because I don't think coming back from the bye week, that'll be four weeks that David Montgomery has been out at this point when we return. I don't know how healthy he's going to be. So I think by default is going to be Jahmyr Gibbs. And David might be relegated to the backup spot, getting less carries. So I think, and by the time David is fully recovered, it could be Jahmyr Gibbs. But then again, Jahmyr Gibbs can be all over the place. David is going to do one thing, run and catch out of the backfield. You can line up Jahmyr Gibbs out wide with him being how he is. But from the backfield, he did his thing. And he's done his thing pretty much when David Montgomery has been out. I tell you what, not a bad spot to be in if you're the Detroit Lions. If you're trying to figure out which one is the lead back between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, that's a win-win situation. So I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit. I'm going to say it's going to be Jahmyr by default because David Montgomery is not going to be 100% healthy. I don't know if we see him start to carry that much until December, to be honest with you, because we don't really know the extent of his damage to his cartilage and his ribs. And, you know, that tissue takes a lot longer to heal than a bone. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. We are on a push to 16,000. Hopefully we can get there by December 1st with a goal of, let's say, 20 by the end of the Detroit Lions season. So subscribe and let me know if, when I say the word subscribe, if you are one of the channel, people that see the subscribe button animated, because I don't know if it's actually effective yet, but let me know in the comments below. You guys are awesome. Take care of yourself and each other. And as always, go Lions.